Reporting to you live from the Golden Gate Bridge, and the Golden State Warriors hate Jonathan Kuminga, and they said, we're not giving you any kind of money, bro. You can take this or you can kick rocks and get out of here. Back in my day in the NBA, if you came in my paint, I'm going to freaking drop a 12-6 elbow right in your forehead and split your forehead in two, and you have to get staples. All these sissy kids are shooting too many threes and foul baiting and flopping. It all started with the Warriors. I got off track. I still love the NBA. But if you see here, Golden State offered Jonathan Kuminga the 2-year, $45 million deal. It would be a team option the second year. So he plays the first year. Golden State can just do whatever they want in year two. Jonathan Kuminga said, you see this thing? Y'all can suck this thing. I'm not signing that 2-year, $45 million deal. I'm better than y'all think I am, and I'm betting on myself. So if you see right here, just like I said, they were offering him that $45 million deal. I don't know if he actually told him to suck this thing. Kuminga seems pretty cool, so he probably didn't do that. But basically, right here on the bottom, since Kuminga is pretty much not going to sign that $45 million deal, they've been offering that to him at least the past month. That's probably been up, and he just doesn't seem like he wants to sign that. He wants to bet on himself. So down here, a lot of people believe he's going to return to the Warriors on that 1-year, $7.9 million qualifying offer. So that's basically, I think, the cheapest they can pay him. So after that 1 year is up, or possibly before February, when the trade deadline comes up for next season, they could trade Jonathan Kuminga before the trade deadline, or just wait for that 1 year to run out for that contract, and then Jonathan Kuminga can leave in free agency the next season or do whatever he wants. This is coffee, YouTube. It's just coffee. But again, Golden State wants him to sign that 2-year, $45 million deal because it's a team-friendly deal. Golden State doesn't really know what they think about Jonathan Kuminga. He is turning 23 going into this next season. So Kuminga, he's already been in the NBA 4 years. He's seen Golden State, how they operate. He won the championship with them in 2022. And he's never really had a big role on the team. He'll get flashes and stuff, and he looks good in flashes. But honestly, in my opinion, give my quick Jonathan Kuminga assessment. So Kuminga, for the past 2 seasons, he was playing not a lot of minutes up until these past 2 seasons, but he's averaging 25 minutes per game these past 2. He's played 111 total games. Our boy Kuminga is averaging 16 points, 2 assists, and 5 rebounds. So nothing really jumps off the page. I mean, if you can give me 16 points in 25 minutes, there's nothing really crazy about that. That's solid if you're like my third option and you're doing that on really good efficiency, and you're also giving me solid defense, maybe giving me some playmaking, rebounding to go along with that. But being a guy that just gives me 16 points a game, even if you're like the third option, that's more of like a fourth option type of scoring if you're on a contending team, which Golden State, they still are, even to this point, having Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, Steve Kerr coaching, they still have an opportunity to compete for a championship at least. But with Golden State, again, the 16 points per game, he's 49% from the field, 31% from 3, and 71% from the free throw line. So you see the 71% from the line, and it's not to say he can't get better at free throws, but if he was shooting like 80% from the line, 83% from the line, I would look at that and think, maybe he can bring up that 3-point percentage from the 31%. But, the 4 years we've seen Kuminga, he just doesn't look like a knockdown shooter, to be honest. He's not really a spot up off the ball guy. He's more a guy that wants to get the ball in his hands. You can isolate for him. You can run him off ball. He's decent off ball, doing back screens and things like that. He's an okay screen setter for his position. Again, he only gives you the 5 rebounds per game. That is in 25 minutes, so you give him 30 minutes plus a game. He might give you 7 rebounds or so he's a decent rebounder, but it's just defensively. He's honestly not a good defender. He's not a versatile defender. He gets blown by a lot. He can't guard well in isolation, and he's not very disciplined defending off ball. So that's what Golden State sees. I can find guys, it's kind of a dime a dozen these days in the NBA. You can find guys that can give you 16 points. The field goal percentage is good, honestly, 49% from the field. So that is good efficiency for his 16 points. So I will give him the efficiency there. But taking nine field goal attempts per game, So honestly, that is solid efficiency. I'll take that back, Jonathan Kuminga. You can take 9 field goal attempts per game and give me 16 points on 49% shooting from the field. That's actually pretty good, but it's not such elite offense to where it makes up for Kuminga's lack of defense because he's not a very good defender. He gets beat a lot on back screens and things like that. Again, he can't guard these quicker guards one on one in isolation. He's he's about 6'7", 220, so he can guard decently in the mid post and the lower post against at least some of these small forwards out there in the NBA. But again, he doesn't do enough outside of scoring to have kind of a place on the Golden State team. At least that's the way they look at it right now. Because on Golden State, they have Trace Jackson Davis, they have Buddy Hield, they have Jimmy Butler, they have Moses Moody, they have AirPods, Brandon Pozemski, they have Gary Payton II. AirPods, Gary Payton, Moses Moody, those are smaller guards, but Golden State, they'll run a small lineup, and all those guys, they give those guys minutes ahead of Jonathan Kuminga, whether it's right or wrong, but I guess they just feel like for their situation, they can plug in these guys and get more out of these guys than they can out of Kuminga, whether that's because these guys can do more on defense or give you some rebounding, screen setting, whatever it is. Golden State feels like these guys give them more than Kuminga can give them. And I'm a Spurs fan. I look at Golden State the same way I look at San Antonio as far as their front office goes because Steve Kerr is a product of the Spurs system. And a lot of the great coaches in the NBA did come from the Spurs tree if you look back at where they came from. But anyway, I look at the front office coaching of Golden State pretty much just like I look at San Antonio. If Steve Kerr says this is the lineup we should run, these are the decisions we should make, I pretty much just believe Steve Kerr. So I haven't seen Jonathan Kuminga behind the scenes and seen how he works day to day, but I would kind of trust Steve Kerr and trust Golden State organization when it comes to that. One thing I didn't like, they made a comment at Golden State, they're questioning Jonathan Kuminga's commitment. So I don't really like when teams do that because, from Kuminga's role, they're not giving him the contract he wants. That's all good. Players negotiate for contracts, negotiate where they want to go. But Kuminga's basically saying, I'm not getting the opportunity that I want here. I feel like I deserve. I want to go somewhere else where I can get some more play time and just work some more hours. You know what I mean? I want to get some more play time and show what I can do on a different team. I want to play 30 minutes plus per game, and there's not really a spot for me to do that on Golden State, being behind Trace Jackson Davis and Jimmy Butler, Moses Moody, who else? AirPods, Buddy Hield. He's not going to get a 30-minute plus role on Golden State. So he said, I don't want to sign this contract. I want to leave, and I want to get more playtime somewhere else. And then Golden State says, man, this guy's just not. He's not committed to the game of basketball. This guy just doesn't want to play hard. I don't like when teams do that, when a player's trying to pursue a better opportunity for themselves somewhere else and get more playtime. Then the team says, oh, this guy's just a lazy ass. This guy's not committed to the game of basketball. Not to say Golden State said those exact words. On Golden State's side, maybe Kuminga is lazy. Maybe he's not committed to the game of basketball. Oh, excuse me. Maybe he's not committed to the game of basketball. I don't know. I'm not behind the scenes, but I just don't like when teams, when a player's trying to pursue a better opportunity for themselves and teams just say, oh, this guy's not committed, because it's just a lazy thing a lot of teams go to when a player is trying to leave that situation. But right here, Kuminga being an unrestricted free agent going into the 2026 season. So again, that's if he signs his qualifying offer. It was like $7.9 million. So that's what people are basically expecting to happen right down here. Veterans of the Warriors are wondering about Kuminga's buy-in if he comes back on the qualifying offer. Basically, Golden State, they just want to get this done as fast as they can. Not so much because they want to keep Kuminga or anything to do so much with Kuminga. They just want to get the thing signed so they can look at their salary cap and decide what next move they can make going into this 25-26 season. So right here, expected to be movement next week with that October 1st deadline coming up. So October 1st is that's the deadline for when teams can go ahead and sign free agents before the season starts. Again, Jake Fisher, he's an NBA insider. He's just saying kind of what we're thinking. Kuminga's probably not going to sign that 2 year deal because he wants to do the 1 year and hopefully get traded before the February trade deadline or finish out his 1 year and go on to pursue what he thinks is a better opportunity for himself. But yeah, right here, Kuminga's preference at this stage is hashing out a longer deal than both parties can live with, but there hasn't been much movement in these talks. Again, I don't think the Warriors hate Kuminga. I don't think Jonathan Kuminga hates the organization. Kuminga's just saying, I don't want that 2 years for 45. I want like a 4 or 5 year contract for 90, 100 million, whatever it is. He wants more stability and a longer contract. But Kuminga can't get what he wants. Golden State can't get what they want, so they're at a standstill. Um, let's see. Again, if they did that 2 year, $45 million deal, and Golden State holds the team option for year two, that would strip Kuminga of the right to grant consent on trades in year one. So basically, if they do sign that 2 year, $45 million deal, then with how that deal will be set up, it will be saying, Kuminga, you're not getting traded next season. Like, you're playing out all of next season, and then in that off season or going into the second year of the season, that's when Kuminga is able to pursue some trades or grant consent to his trades. Since coming from those connected to both sides of negotiations, we could finally see some movement on the Kuminga front next week. So, what's his name again? Jake Fisher of the Stein line. He's basically saying next week we're anticipating seeing some progress and some movements. It's looking like he's not going to sign that 2 year, $45 million deal. He wants more flexibility. He wants to sign that 1 year, $7.9 million, so that way he has more control of if he gets traded next season before the trade deadline, which I think that's what Kuminga wants, to be honest, or if he plays out, all of next season and then is a free agent going into 26, 27, so he can kind of do what he wants there. But again, Kuminga, these last 2 seasons, 16 points, 2 assists, 5 rebounds, 49% from the field, 31% from three, 71% from the free throw line. He's only attempting 9 field goal attempts per game, so to put up the 16 points and 9 field goal attempts this over the last 2 seasons, and to be able to shoot 49% from the field on only 9 field goal attempts and put up the 16, I can see what Kuminga's kind of thinking about himself. He's probably thinking, let me get 18 field goal attempts per game, double up my field goal attempts. I don't think he would double his scoring to 32 points per game. I feel like his field goal percentage would probably come down a bit just naturally with the higher volume. But, I can see what Kuminga is saying or what he thinks about himself. Double up my field goal attempts, take 18 field goal attempts per game. And that's like superstar numbers. I think SGA takes 19, 20 shots a game. So on the Warriors side, they're saying like, Jonathan, you're not gonna get all these field goal attempts somewhere else. But let's say he does double his field goal attempts per game. Kuminga looks at himself as someone that can average 25 points per game and do that on probably 45, 46% from the field. And I don't think that's totally out of the realm of possibility. But you have guys like LaMelo Ball. He averaged, I think, 24 25%, 24 25 points a game just last season. And he doesn't help you win games at all. He plays just a really bad non-winning style of basketball. Not to throw a stray at LaMelo Ball or say Jonathan Kuminga would be just like that. Comment below what you think. But from my point of view, Kuminga's he's not some elite scorer to where he can go on a team and play, of course, not like an SGA role or a Jalen Brunson role, but I just don't see him being at that level where you can have him be your number one scoring option on your team and use him as a number one option and have that be the recipe for winning games, like an SJ or a Jalen Brunson. And then I don't see him being good enough at playmaking or rebounding. He's not a good defender at all, to be totally honest. So, that's where Golden State's at right now. They're like, you're not so elite at scoring to where you can be like a second option behind Steph Curry or even a third option behind Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler. So your scoring's not that good, and then you don't make up for it with playmaking or rebounding or defense. So that's kind of where Golden State is at, and I kind of agree with them. And then the other teams outside of Golden State, they don't seem to want to trade for him quite yet because they don't see him like he sees himself. I feel like Jonathan Kuminga sees himself as, a person who can give you 25 points per game on 45% or higher field goal shooting. And I'm not saying that's bad. Like, be confident in yourself, Kuminga. Maybe you can do that. I don't think that's outside of the realm of possibility. But again, there's a lot of guys in the NBA that can give you 24, 25 points a game, and it's just empty points and empty stats. So I'm not saying that would be the case with Kuminga, but that's what teams are afraid of, and that's why teams don't really want to trade for him. That's why Golden State is doubting whether they want to sign him or not, to a longer deal. And I feel like Golden State is playing this correctly. To be totally honest, I don't see enough outside of Kuminga scoring when it comes to rebounding, defense, and playmaking. And his scoring is not it's not at some elite level to where it makes up for those other things. But please like and subscribe. I'm trying to get to 50 subscribers. Please let me know what you think about the Kuminga situation, and we'll see y'all next time.